The movie begins with James and M. Foster waking up in their hotel room. They are on vacation in Liulka, Croatia, at a private resort. Nearby, locals are getting ready for a tradition called the summoning, where people wear strange masks. At breakfast, M wants to explore the place, but James doesn't seem very interested. Later, while watching a race, James meets a young woman named Gabby Bauer. She says she is a fan of his book, the only one he wrote years ago, and invites him and M to have dinner with her and her husband, Alban. That night, the Fosters have dinner with the Bauers. Gabby says she works as a commercial actress, and Alban is an architect. When they ask James about his next book, he admits he has no ideas, and it is also mentioned that M comes from a rich family. After dinner, the couples go to the dance floor. M talks with Alban while James and Gabby keep looking at each other. The next day, M feels worried after hearing that Liulka has a high crime rate, especially against foreigners. Gabby and Alban arrive with a car they rented from a man named Mr. Thresh, and even though the resort has strict rules about not leaving, the two couples drive into the countryside. At the beach, they find abandoned cars and decide to spend the afternoon there. While talking, M says her father never liked James, and because he owns a publishing company, he warned her not to marry a writer. She says she ignored her father's warning because she hates him, and later, James goes off to urinate, and Gabby follows him. She grabs him from behind and sexually pleasures him until he climaxes. After a long day of sunbathing and cooking, the couples, now drunk, drive back to the resort with James behind the wheel. On the dark road, the car lights flicker, and James accidentally hits a local man, killing him. Everyone panics, and James says they should call the police, but Gabby warns him not to, saying the country is corrupt and unsafe. Instead, they move the body off the road, and Alban takes over driving. The next morning, James wakes to loud knocking, and he finds the police are at the door. He and M are arrested for the hit and run and taken to the station. They are put in separate cells, and James is given different clothes to wear. James meets Detective Thresh, who tells him the car they used belonged to Thresh's uncle. To protect James, Thresh tells him to lie in the interrogation and say the Bauers stole the car, something the Bauers have already admitted. Thresh explains that the punishment for a hit and run is death, carried out by the victim's firstborn son to honor the family. But for foreigners, there is another option. For a large payment, the guilty person can be cloned and the clone will be executed instead. Since James has access to money through his marriage, he pays the fee to escape execution. James undergoes the cloning process, stepping into a chamber filled with red liquid. During the procedure, he sees strange visions, including Gabby walking naked around him. When it is finished, James and M are taken to a red room, where they meet Thresh and come face to face with James's clone. As part of the deal, James and M must watch the execution with the victim's family. James's clone is tied up, and the victim's eldest son is given a knife, and while the clone begs for his life, the boy stabs him to death. M is horrified, but James is shown smiling when it is over. Thresh then hands James the ashes of his clone as a souvenir before releasing them. Shaken by what happened, M wants to leave the resort right away, but James says he lost his passport. After calming down, James tells her to leave without him, and she agrees. James goes to the receptionist who extends his stay at the resort for another week and runs into Gabby, who explains everything. She says Alban built the infinity pool as part of a deal, but 2 workers died during construction. The Bauers were arrested and sentenced to death, but cloning saved them. Gabby takes James to a gathering where she introduces him to Alban and a group of wealthy tourists, Charles, Jennifer, Dr. Moden, and Bex. They all admit they have committed crimes and paid to watch their clones executed. During the discussion, Dr. Moden asks James if he thinks someone else really died in his place, or if he believes he actually saw his own death, and James replies that he can only hope. Still feeling guilty, James goes to the restroom to calm down, and Gabby follows him, and suddenly, Charles fires a gun. Knowing James has no passport, Charles offers to get him a new one if he helps them. The group plans to rob a wealthy man who was recently given a medal for helping prosperity in Liulka. Learning he lives in the hills, they decide to steal the medal. When James hesitates, Charles threatens him, forcing him to join. The group breaks into a gift shop, steals the strange masks they saw earlier, and puts them on. Acting wild, they drive to the rich man's mansion and break in while he and his wife are being intimate. They tie the couple up in the living room, but a security guard hiding in the house suddenly starts shooting at them. Gabby fires back, hitting the guard and others, while Albin is shot in the leg. The group escapes and takes the injured Albin to James and M's apartment, where M sees what happened. The next day, the police arrest all of them for their crimes and Detective Thresh tells them they have gone too far and orders soldiers to take them away. Albin offers to pay, but Thresh ignores him, and the group is taken to the execution room and handcuffed. James manages to break free, grabs a knife, and fights back, but he is tackled and killed along with the others. It is then revealed that the ones executed were only their doubles. The real group sits watching the killings like a show and later receives the ashes of their clones. James returns to his hotel room and finds Em still there, and upset with his choice to stay, she leaves after he coldly tells her to run back to her father. Later, James sits alone on the beach smoking when Gabby approaches. She is pleased to learn that Em is gone. Gabby kisses him and takes him into a room, where she burns hallucinogenic drugs. They inhale the smoke, start kissing, and take part in wild, drug-fueled orgies. Because James is under the influence of the local drug, it is unclear how much of it is real. Over the next few days, the group pushes James to act without limits, and he begins abusing other guests at the resort. One night, James joins them in breaking into a hospital but is told to wait outside. He becomes dizzy and is nearly hit by a police van, just as the others come out pushing someone on a bed. Later that night, the group tricks James to brutally beat a man with a bag over his head, saying it is the detective who first arrested him. James keeps hitting the man until Gabby pulls off the bag, revealing it is actually one of James's own doubles. Shocked and disturbed, James locks himself in the bathroom. In a moment of clarity and fear, James takes out the passport he had secretly kept to extend his stay in Liulka. The next day, he tries to escape on a bus, but Gabby and the group chase after it. Gabby starts shooting at the bus, calling out James's name. When he doesn't answer, she threatens to kill everyone unless he comes out. James slowly leaves the bus, and they force him to walk in front of their car. Gabby mocks James, admitting she never read his book and taunting him by repeating a harsh review it once got. She reveals that the group only chose him for their own amusement, and the accident with her and Albin just made it easier to trap him. Even without it, she says, they would have found another way to get him in trouble. When Gabby is distracted by her wine bottle falling, James tries to grab her gun but fails and runs into the woods. Gabby picks up the gun, fires after him, and eventually shoots him in the leg. Wounded and desperate, James limps through the area until he collapses near a farm, where the farmers take him in to recover. While under drugs, he suffers terrifying hallucinations, seeing the son of the man he killed strangling him, and visions of Em joining the group to torment him. When he regains his strength, James calls out to the family, but no one answers, and stepping outside, he is confronted again by Gabby and the group. They tell him he must finish his transformation by killing one of his own doubles, which they call the dog. James is given a knife, and Gabby orders him to kill the double.
Kill the dog!
At first, he refuses, but when the double attacks him like a wild animal, James is forced to beat him to death. Afterward, he breaks down crying, and Gabby comforts him, smearing the double's blood on her breast and inviting him to breastfeed. The next day, James calls Em to apologize for his behavior and tells her he is coming home. He gets on a bus with the group to the airport, and while the other tourists casually chat about their normal lives outside the resort, James stays silent and looks traumatized. At the airport, the group invites him to return next year, saying they come every year to commit crimes and watch their doubles executed before going back to their regular lives. Sitting at the gate, James decides not to board his flight, and instead, he returns to the resort. As the stormy season begins, he sits alone by the pool in the heavy rain, completely broken by everything that has happened, and the movie concludes. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Infinity Pool from 2023. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.